Thomas Drance from the Athletic Vancouver and Canucks Talk joins us now on the Halford and Brough Show on Sportsnet 650. What up, Drancer?
This is where I think it's time for this market, right, and this organization, and most importantly, Canucks ownership, to take a deep breath, look at the NHL standings, consider what happened last night, and ask yourself the following question. Have the Anaheim Ducks, the zombie Phoenix Coyotes, now the Utah Mammoth, the Chicago Blackhawks, teams mired in long rebuilds, disciplined rebuilds that haven't even gone well, have those teams now passed the Vancouver Canucks?
Are the Vancouver Canucks bad? It's a question worth asking. Hello, and welcome to this Stanchies pregame video. I have decided to leave the house and do this outside because, let's be honest, we all need a breath of fresh air every now and then. The Canucks could certainly benefit from some fresh air, considering how tough this week has been for them as they head into a game against the Columbus Blue Jackets that they absolutely have to win. I really just wanted an excuse to be outdoors today, which honestly was worth it. Very much worth it. This is a better use of my day, I think. The Canucks are hovering around 500. They are coming off a game against the Chicago Blackhawks where they took over 40 shots and lost. None of the shots were particularly dangerous, aside from Connor Garland's one opportunity. And it's really making you question, even with all the injuries, even with everything they've dealt with this season, is this team actually good enough to do anything? Is this team better than just a second wild card? My bet is the answer is no, unfortunately. I don't really think that they're there. You add in the fact now that Thatcher Demko is going to be out for at least the next game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're not calling it a maintenance day. They're calling it, someone has called it scheduled maintenance. I don't really know if I fully buy that, just off the fact of, yes, like they said it was scheduled, but then also Yuri Patera, who they called up on as an emergency call-up, he was not ready. He was not there for practice today, meaning that this was at least somewhat last minute, and they weren't necessarily prepared for it. And yet here we are. Normally this is where I talk mostly about the Columbus Blue Jackets, how they're a very fast, young team, how they have a lot of talent, and who are going to give the Canucks a very tough time in terms of scoring. They're a high-flying team. They are not necessarily the best defensively, not necessarily the best goaltending. There's a reason they haven't made the playoffs in a little while, but there's a direction there. There is a direction with the Blue Jackets that they are building towards something better down the line. So even if they don't win tonight against Vancouver, the idea is that they are at least improving as a unit enough that in the next couple years, they should be competitive, and they should be at least fighting for a playoff spot if they've played their cards correctly. The reason I bring that up with the Canucks is that they are simply looking at a scenario where a lot of teams who were very recently behind them in the standings, and comfortably behind them in the standings, are now starting to jump past them again. Whether it's Chicago, whether it's the Anaheim Ducks, who are currently leading the Pacific Division. They came out of nowhere, and they look far better than the Canucks have all season long. You can blame the injuries, but the truth is, even with the players that are out of the lineup that they're missing, the players that they've had simply just haven't been good enough to win. They haven't necessarily done what is necessary to beat teams like Chicago, a team that, again, was very far behind them not all that long ago, hasn't necessarily done a great job, as Thomas Drance put it on 650 on Thursday, hasn't necessarily done a great job of rebuilding that roster, and yet somehow they are just as good as the Canucks again. And it didn't take very long. It took maybe 3 years. It is getting to the point now with the Canucks where they have to decide what they want to be. If they want to be this mushy middle forever, this is what they're going to be. They're always going to be in the mushy middle. If they want to be a team that can jump past that, if they want to be a team that can get beyond being a second wildcard team in the Western Conference, outside of that 1 year where they made the where they won the Pacific Division title, they're going to have to make big moves. They're going to have to trade some players out, and they're going to have to be willing to make sacrifices for the now to better the future. Even the players that you would normally expect to be really good for the Canucks this year haven't been particularly good, like Quinn Hughes, a player who has carried the Canucks for years. This season, he's been okay. He's just been okay. And that really tells you where the Canucks are at this point, that no one has really been able to step up to the plate. No one has really been able to take the team on their shoulders except for Kiefer Sherwood, which it's not that doesn't exactly bode well for a team that considers themselves a playoff caliber roster. The Blue Jackets will be a very even test for the Canucks. They will be a team that will give even a healthy Canucks team would give them a run in terms of their speed, in terms of their scoring and skill, and where the Canucks can definitely surpass them on defense and in goal. Right now, the Canucks are going to have to really lean on that to get any farther. You hope your best players can step up in this type of a game. I really want to see Pettersson and Hughes make a big impact in this game. I want to see Jake DeBrusk get a little bit more involved in the action. I'd like to see Brock Besser get a couple more goals. I think those are the players who I'm going to be looking at the most, and it's easy to say that, but at the same time, they haven't always shown up this season. It hasn't been smooth sailing for any of those players. So I would really like to see those guys really step up and prove that they can tango with the Adam Fantillis, the Cole Sillingers, the Zach Werenskis of the world. That's going to be where the Canucks can prove where they are and what kind of position they are in as a National Hockey League team. I think if the Canucks can't prove to be competitive against Columbus, it's going to prove that this is a team that needs to make bigger changes sooner rather than later. And frankly, it's better to find that out now in November as opposed to closer to the trade deadline in February or March. You'd rather have that information in your back pocket now when you could start driving up the price on players you might need to trade later down the line and start considering a rebuild. Whether or not the Canucks will actually go for a rebuild is anybody's guess. I mean, I have my guess considering how the last 11 years have gone in Vancouver with 2 playoff appearances and 2 playoff series wins to show for it. But you have to have some hope. You have to have some hope that eventually it'll get through, that you need to do something bigger. You need to make a bigger change beyond what the Canucks have been doing. They're going to get a Columbus team that's hungry to prove that they are not the team that lost 5-1 in Calgary. The Canucks should be able to match them more or less. If they win, that proves that they are at least in that conversation, that they're at least competitive to some degree. If they can win handily, that proves that they're a step ahead. If they lose, well, there's really no telling where the Canucks' future lies. Hopefully, somewhere good and somewhere with more sustainable winning, at the very least. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. I'm hoping I can do more stuff beyond just the confines of my office. And we'll see you on Canucks Army tonight for the Stanchies after the Canucks play the Blue Jackets at 7 p.m. See you there.